just humans.
And I'm going to do another recording, so just hang on.
You ready? Yep. All right, calling meeting to order today, Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. The time is 4:38. Hammond City Council Chambers. Call to order. Michelle? Call roll.
You see our new thing, verification of meeting notice?
Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, well, verification of meeting notice.
Yes, it was posted
Good.
within 24 hours on the council chamber door, our office door, and on our website.
All right. Now, roll call.
Yes. Todd DeLon,
Present.
John Exnicius,
Here.
Mary Guito, Chelsea Kusnick,
Here.
Chance Kinchin,
Here.
Kaylee Norton, Evan Singer.
All right. See. Okay, so we're welcoming, we have,
So
or what do we have?
this is the first time we are like changing the agenda, so we do have amend agenda now built in if we do need to amend the agenda for any reason, and it will be reflected on here, even if, just as a basic precaution. But if we don't need to use it, we can just mention it and then.
Again, is there any reason to amend the agenda, anyone? Okay. Next, we're welcoming Ray Scriber from Main Street, Louisiana. Welcome for being with us today, right?
And he's
Then-
going to do a Main Street 101 presentation.
Yep.
So I think, well, I'm just going to say that I think the last time Ray has been here and has spoken to our board was before the pandemic, I think. Yeah, it's been a while. So there's been lots of changes and good things that have happened, and we're always so gracious to work with our State Main Street program, and I'm excited for him to share some more of the nitty-gritty about Main Street, kind of building on some of the little bits that we talked about at our retreat back in January. So without further ado, Ray, the podium is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to stand here if it's okay,
Yeah.
so that I can operate the slides. And
Then I can move.
Back on the screen, I did put together some slides just to kind of guide us through the presentation. As Michelle said, I'm Ray Scriber. I'm the director for the Louisiana Main Street program. We're housed in Baton Rouge and part of the state government. We are in the Office of Cultural Development, the Division of Historic Preservation, the Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism, and ultimately part of the Lieutenant Governor's Office. So I tell everybody we're in the fun part of state government because we do all the different things that everybody enjoys, like state parks and tourism and things like that. So, but I've been working with Main Street for about 20 years now. I started as the design coordinator and helping building owners with building design advice and providing renderings, and still do some of that work. But I'm now the state coordinator and work with 36 communities. We'll see in just a moment from across the state. But a little bit about Main Street, and I know I'm going to say Main Street and Hammond Main Street. The DDD and Main Street in Hammond are one and the same. You all are the downtown revitalization entity for the city of Hammond. You operate using the Main Street framework, the Main Street approach to downtown revitalization, and I think that's a great framework for you all to use, and I like the DDD setup. I wish more of our communities had that. But Main Street started back in 1977 with the National Trust for Historic Preservation realized that our downtowns and our historic downtowns in small towns were really struggling, and that was during the time when everything was leaving the downtown areas. The downtowns were becoming deserted, and the buildings were vacant. People weren't taking good care of their buildings. They were starting to deteriorate, or if they were taking good care of them, they were trying to make them look modern instead of celebrating the historic character. So Main Street, the National Trust for Historic Preservation realized that this was happening in our communities, and felt that there was a need to take some action and do some things to help reverse that trend. trend. So they developed what is now the Main Street approach to downtown revitalization. They started with 6 states in 1980, and Louisiana joined the Main Street Network in 1984, the national network. So we've been having a Main Street program in the state of Louisiana for 40 years. We're celebrating our 40th anniversary. Hammond was one of the first 4 Main Street communities in the state of Louisiana. So you all are celebrating your 40th anniversary too. So we're going to celebrate that together in some ways. What that is, I don't know yet, but we'll figure that out.
We know some things. We know some things.
Y'all have some things. We have some things, but
Well, I mean, we know what y'all are doing.
haven't
We're still
figured
working on
out
ours.
how to recognize our first 4 Main Street communities. So we want to do that at some point
Oh.
during the year, and certainly Hammond.
And how many total in Louisiana, you said?
7.
Uh,
Oh, wait.
How many total Louisiana Main Streets do we have?
36.
36.
36 now, okay.
36 designated Main Street communities. 4 are in our application process,
Yeah.
so soon we'll have a total of 40, which works out really well for 40.
Yeah,
Yeah,
40,
that's
40.
cool.
You'll see how we're going to do that in a little bit.
Yeah, that's
So,
cool.
these are the communities that we work with, the 36 that we work with now. You'll see that the most of the communities are small towns, and that's how Main Street started, really, and that's where the major focus is small towns with population 50,000 and less, in revitalizing those historic downtowns. Since Hurricane Katrina, we have been doing some work in neighborhood commercial districts in New Orleans, but we would never work with like the CBD in New Orleans or the bigger cities, the DBD in Baton Rouge or Lafayette. Quite frankly, they've got more resources than we do at their disposal. So we try to focus our limited resources on the small towns from across the state. And that's where Main Street started, and that's where our heart is, and where I enjoy my work mostly. I'm from a small town. So this is the Main Street approach, and I think Michelle probably went over some of this at your retreat, but let's go over it. Main Street is a 4-point approach. The 4 points are design, organization, promotion, and economic vitality. You see they're illustrated there in this star, but then in the middle of all that is called community transformation. And every Main Street organization should adopt 1 or 2 transformation strategies that they focus on to bring about change in their downtown. Those strategies are unique, or maybe not unique, but they are specific to that particular community. And they are the things that have been identified by the Main Street Board as the strategies that that they feel like will best guide the organization in its work. They are informed by community input and then a market analysis of your trade area. So you take a look at those inputs, what does the community want, and then what does the market analysis indicate to be supported by the community, and then focus those transformation strategies based on those things. Then everything in the 4 points, you must have programming in all 4 points for it to be really successful. So the programming from the 4 points will all be focused on those 1 or 2 transformation strategies. Let's go over real quick the 4 points, starting with design, and that is talking about creating and inviting an inclusive atmosphere, celebrating the historic character. We really talk about that a lot. Communities, when they start up, a lot of times say to us, well, we want to be like the French Quarter. We want to look like the French Quarter. And, especially up in North Louisiana, they never did and never will be the French Quarter and never look like the French Quarter. So we have to have these conversations that say, celebrate what you have. Don't try to be something that you're not. Don't put false balconies on the front of your buildings that never had them. And, just celebrate that character of your community, and don't try to be something false. Then also, the design point is about fostering accessible and people-centered public spaces, the parks that are downtown, sidewalks, if it's clean downtown, if it's well lit, if things are well maintained, not only the buildings but the public spaces as well. All of that goes into the design point. The promotion point focuses on marketing the district as a whole and marketing the assets of that district that can run the gamut of having events downtown. And I know you all have a lot of nice events in your downtown area. That's just one aspect of it. but it's also about telling the stories of downtown and promoting the downtown and the history there, not only just letting the buildings do the history talking, but also promoting the history of the downtown and supporting a buy local experience. A lot of times it's about changing perceptions and the mindset of the people in the community to help them figure out they need to quit driving to Baton Rouge or New Orleans or wherever people drive to shop and spend their money, but rather spend their money here in Hammond. If they earn their money here in Hammond, they should spend it here. And then also to shop downtown, not just go to the mall in Hammond, but make sure that the downtown area is a destination for shopping. The organization point is just this. You have a strong organization. You've got a good board that's been in place for years and years and years, and so you have to build your leadership, develop that, and keep it rotating out, always recruiting new people, and making sure that you have a good board, a good strong board, but also ensuring that you have good community engagement, and that you have good partnerships across the sectors, the different entities that are in your community that will help contribute to the work that goes on about downtown revitalization. And then the fourth point is something that we're really starting to focus a lot more on, and that's the economic vitality, really economic development. That's what it is. Supporting entrepreneurs, developing an environment that entrepreneurs have a better chance of succeeding once they start their businesses and open their businesses, helping those entrepreneurs get a start, working with the city to make sure that the processes are as easy as can be for people that are opening up businesses or moving businesses to your community. It's about having smart new investment. New investment's a good thing in the downtown, whether that's building investment, new buildings, or new businesses. It's always a good thing. Our downtown's evolved over time, and so having a good, if there's modern buildings in your downtown, that's a good sign of growth and showing that growth has continued through the years, but of course we want to make sure it's appropriate for the downtown. And then again, just making sure that those entrepreneurs have a good opportunity to start. So those are the 4 points, and as I'm going through this, if y'all have any questions, just let me know, and we'll talk about it right there. Any questions on that?
I have a question.
Okay.
You're going to talk about how each community is required to have a CLG historic district?
I don't think I have that, but I'll talk about that.
Yeah, and or at least a design.
So it does relate, what Michelle was asking about is that one of the requirements that we have for Louisiana Main Street communities, even before they can apply to be a Main Street community, they have to be designated a certified local government. And they have to keep that certified local government status in order to keep Main Street status. What the certified local government, or CLG is what it's called, it's just easier to say CLG. The CLG identifies communities that have a local historic district ordinance and a local historic district commission that oversee the changes that happen to the exterior of the buildings within the local historic district. We feel like that's very, very important because when I talk about Main Street, when I just say it to people that don't know anything about it, I'll say that Main Street is an economic development program with its foundation in historic preservation. And the way that communities show to us and to everybody that they have a historic preservation ethic is that they have a historic district commission and historic district ordinance, and that they maintain their status through the National Park Service of CLG. So it's very important to us at the state, in the state coordinating program, and it is a requirement that will never go away. So we hope that communities can keep that up and keep that going. Louisiana is the only state that has that requirement for Main Street communities, but the National Park Service uses us as an example all the time in trying to encourage other states to do that same thing. They haven't picked up on it yet, or maybe they're just too far into it to be able to require that, but we've had that requirement right from the start.
Yeah, so that's why the historic district is so important as it relates to all of our bigger goals, and working with them is so vital to all the work that we do. Even though we're separate organizations, we're both basically working together to uphold our Main Street accreditation.
Yeah. And we have found that in communities across the state that that's a good partnership between the local Main Street organization and the Historic District Commission. Main Street as an entity at the local level doesn't have any authority. Maybe it's a little bit different with the DDD since you all are quasi-governmental type entity, but in a normal, not normal, but in a different type of Main Street setup, the Main Street program probably doesn't have any authority, certainly not any legal regulatory authority. So the Historic District Commission becomes that entity that helps make sure that the character of the downtown is maintained.
Are a lot of the others in the state not like us as far as the?
Most are not.
Most are not.
There's only, as far as the Main Street communities, the bigger cities like Shreveport, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, they do operate as DDDs, but they're not Main Street. So the rest of the Main Street communities, there's only 3 or 4 other than Hammond.
Do you find that to be a benefit?
Yeah,
To
have a DDD, it's a great benefit.
Yeah, it's opposed to.
I mean, it gives you a source of revenue, for one thing,
Well,
so
yeah.
that you all can use to run your program. There are a lot more, interestingly enough, that enabled their DDD legislation, but they've never implemented it as far as a taxing authority. So they have their DDDs, but they don't operate as one. And then they set up different ways, like Opelousas just set up as a DDD, and they get their revenue from sales tax. And I really kind of discouraged that at first, but then they said, no, it's going to work because they make their whole town the DDD. So they get sales tax revenue
But
from
it's
the
very
entire
small.
city.
It's a very small town, right? Opelousas?
It's probably 14 or 15.
Okay.
Somewhere here.
Okay.
So they were smart in that because they wouldn't want to have a higher sales tax in downtown. They just used the downtown as the DDD. So it seems to be working well for them. Homa, they get their tax revenue from hotel motel tax, a portion of the hotel motel tax. Trying to think of who else. Thomasonville is a DDD.
They are. Spring Hill is too.
But
They don't have tax. Yeah, most of them, we're unique because we actually have more money than they do at the state office. So yeah, you'll see that in a minute. But so we're very unique in that way. And whenever I'm talking to other communities, I always have to enter into conversations knowing that we are much more resourced, not only in funding, but our proximity to like a university, a small business development center, all these things that are really great resources that a lot of these communities are just dying to have. So I think, oh, what's happening? Oh, I don't think this is, it's not. I hear myself talking, I can't do that. Absolutely cannot. Okay, here we go. Okay, so yes, that as a part of our organization is just like pretty critical, and that's I think a big reason why we were we're a GAMSA winner, and we offer more programs, in-house programs than most other communities, and a lot of other ones they get funding from the city or they try to get funding from the city, or they're structured as a nonprofit, so they're like in this fundraising cycle with their events. So we're very fortunate.
Have there been any other GAMSA winners other than us in Louisiana in the past 10, 20 years? Or
Yeah, Orathe Castle Haley Boulevard in
New Orleans
is a GAMSA winner, and then probably more than 10 years ago, Natchitoches and New Iberia were both GAMSA winners. So we've got 4.
Okay, so that's interesting. So that little neighborhood in New Orleans was under Main Street. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a big
I was
revitalization.
going to say, if you're familiar with that, you know
Oh,
what
yeah,
it was
it
like before. It was like bombed out.
Yeah, it's awesome now. There's a lot of really cool stuff
It
that
really
popped
is.
up. Yeah.
And so they've done a great work, and like y'all, well recognized.
Yeah, that's cool.
Back to the DDD structure, though, I do some consulting work up in Michigan, and they've got a strong DDD foundation, I guess. Most of their communities are DDDs, and they are well-funded, and they do really, really good work. So I think it's great that y'all are a DDD and have access to that funding. So one of the things that you all have as a Main Street community, first of all, you are a designated Louisiana Main Street community. You will be designated, a Louisiana designated Main Street community forever and ever, as long as you all are doing the work of Main Street and are want to stay a part of our network. down the road somewhere you don't want to be, it's just, an agreement between us and y'all that you're no longer designated, but I hope that will never happen.
I don't foresee that happening.
But because you're designated Main Street community, there is a letter of agreement that's signed every year between the director and your board and our office, just spelling out what we agree to do from the state, and then what you all agree to do to maintain your designation as a Louisiana Main Street community. So the things that we agree to do in support of you all are to conduct a quarterly meeting, and we have 4 meetings a year. 3 are here in the state of Louisiana and alternate between North and South Louisiana. And the 4th is our regional Destination Downtown Conference for Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. We hosted it here in Hammond 3 or 4 years ago, I guess.
2019.
I think that was back before COVID.
Yeah.
So we have hosted it here. It was a great time. People still talk about that, how much fun they had, what a great place Hammond is. So that counts as the 4th quarterly meeting. So we do that. We also have other workshops, and we have funding and can put them together throughout the year. So one of our main goals is to provide training to the local programs. You all are always welcome at any of our quarterly meetings. Typically, the director for our Main Street programs fulfills the meeting requirement, but it doesn't have to be that person. Any of you all can come and are always welcome. Multiple people from your community are welcome at our meetings throughout the year. So please feel free, if you ever have a chance to come to our meetings, do that. We also provide advice and information to the local programs director and to the board on an ongoing basis. We do a lot of telephone consulting. We'll always come out and visit with you all if you have issues that you're working through, or you just want to talk to us about things. We're available as a resource for you to provide advice and help you think through some things, and maybe find out how other communities have handled situations that they're working through. We collect information, economic development information, through quarterly reports that the local director supplies to us, and then we publicize those at the state level, just to help show the effectiveness of the state program and how Main Street is benefiting the state of Louisiana as a whole through the work of the local communities, and to hopefully get the legislature to give us more funding for the work we do. We agree to make at least one on-site visit in every community within a 2-year period, and we're really going to have to ramp that up because Main Street America has implemented a new accreditation process that they're requiring us to do that too. We've not always been able to meet our every 2-year agreement, but we're going to have to do that now because of Main Street America especially. Provide design assistance to the property owners. I still do that. Again, we can provide renderings for building owners as to what their buildings can look like. We'll talk with them, help them figure out maybe some things that would be a good design for their building, and really work with them on.
So that's a complete free service as far as
That's free. Everything we do
rendering?
I
is free.
did not know that.
I know, I didn't either. That's
I
pretty
didn't
awesome.
know that.
Really?
We're gonna do that.
Okay, yeah, let us know. All you have to do is ask, and we'll provide.
So who do y'all have that's a professional that says this is you have an architect or somebody on staff that looks at it? You? Okay.
And I have a degree on it.
Oh, you do?
I'm not a licensed
Wow.
architect, so we don't provide measured drawings.
Right.
But we
But you can
provide
do a facade or whatever.
renderings. Facade renderings,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
That'd be good
It
for
is really
the
cool.
Discovery Furniture building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let me know.
There's a
and-
few that we could probably,
There are a few,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they're beneficial not only to a current building owner that maybe wants to make some changes to their building, but if there's a building that's just kind of derelict and has been sitting there forever, you can take those renderings as a way to help people see the potential
Yeah.
of what this building can be, and a lot of times that will even help get that building occupied
And-
You're
or
about to
sold.
hear from us. You're about to hear
I
from
know.
us.
it's a bunch of-
Okay, good.
Now, do you pay attention to whatever the historic district rules and regulations are as far as when you're rendering those?
They
To not
have
open
final
something?
approval on all of that.
Yeah,
Just
of course.
Because I provide something
Yeah.
doesn't mean that is.
I didn't know if you
gonna
look
be
at that when you're deciding on what to make it look like kind of deal.
approved. Well, we certainly hope that,
It's within the guideline.
what I send would be in compliance with what they
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
And what they would agree to. If not, we'll change it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
To their guidelines.
That's a really cool thing.
So yeah, and that's one of my favorite parts of the job is doing those renderings. So just let you know. We do provide some business consultation services. We don't have as much ability in that area as some of the other areas, but we can help make connections. Y'all are fortunate to have an SPDC here in your community, so you don't have to, you're aware of it. It's right there at the university, and a lot of communities, they're not even aware that those centers exist, so we help make those connections there. And then we perform annual assessments, and we're in the midst of doing that right now to help determine whether or not the local program is an accredited program at the national level or an affiliate program at the national level. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. On the local side, so the Hammond DDD agrees to, in the letter of agreement every year, develop, implement, and maintain the program commitment to the 4-point approach, and y'all have always done that. Maintain the focus of the DDD on the district. You're required by your legislation to do that, so that should not ever be a problem. Maintain broad-based community support for the program. Promote and encourage a historic preservation ethic. So there's that right there in the letter of agreement, one of the things that we expect, and of course that's done through the CLG work and the Historic District Commission. Maintain an active board of directors that holds monthly meetings. Employ and maintain a professional Main Street director in accordance with current Main Street America guidelines based on community population, and that just simply means that Main Street America says that if a community is less than 5,000 population, they can have a part-time director. But any community above 5,000 is required to have a full-time director. Maintain a budget with adequate funding. You all have that for daily operation, local programming, doing things that you all want to do, and activities that you want to have, and then to pay for one person at least to travel to the mandatory attendance events. Develop an annual work plan based on your vision and mission statements and the transformation strategies. Submit quarterly reports to Louisiana Main Street. Hammond's always done a really good job of making sure the reports are done on time. Promote and encourage board member attendance at all training opportunities, as I just said, and keep a membership with Main Street America. So we don't charge anything. We don't have a membership at the local, at the state level, but Main Street America does have an annual membership fee, and we do require that our local communities pay that fee and be a member of the national network. It's only $400 and something a year.
I think it may have gone up, but
It may
yeah.
have gone up to 500 or something.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all the stuff about Louisiana and local or state designation. At the national level, there are you have your membership at the national level of Main Street America. So all those, every community that has a membership with Main Street America is either an accredited program or an affiliate program. You're accredited by meeting certain standards, 6 standards. We'll go over them in just a minute, but you first have to meet some baseline requirements. And they're much like the letter of agreement, the things that are spelled out in the letter of agreement. Board of directors formed by a representative base of the district stakeholders and community members dedicated to leading the district's Main Street program. And I know Main Street America talks a lot about, and it is very important to have a good representation of community members from outside the downtown district. I know because of your legislation, you have certain prescribed ways that you can have board members on your board. So having outside community members may not be as easy for you all to do, or even permissible for you all to do on the board. But there is an opportunity for you to recruit community members as volunteers. They can serve on volunteer committees. They can help with events and just be a good, strong volunteer group. So that's important to reach out to help you fulfill that representation based on the requirement. We talked about this when communities over 5,000 population have to have a full-time director. Identify transformation strategy. We talked about that. Have you all as a board talked about transformation strategies and have a couple of strategies that you can identify?
So we haven't. but I think for this year, there's ones that align with our work,
Yeah.
and we'll do that, and then I think next year we'll kind of have a full effort as a part of defining
Yeah,
that.
that's good. And Main Street America has provided a matrix of several different types of transformation strategies that communities can pick and choose from. If there's one or two that fit well with what you all have as your emphasis, then that's fine to pick those. If you don't have to pick one of those, then you can come up with your own transformation strategies. And
Like
that's,
College Town could be a transformation
Yes.
strategy, or historically hip or like historic downtown could be a transformation strategy. So
We are in
We
progress.
are in
It's not
prog-
labeled
like,
as that
yeah,
in our work
yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
and as long as you're working toward it and
Yeah.
having those conversations, the transformation strategy thing is relatively new. So, as long as you're working toward that, you can. Detailed work plans are required, and now they're having to be uploaded into the Main Street America portal when we do the assessment. So that will be a strong requirement moving forward. We've always been a little bit lax on that. Dedicated budget for the district's revitalization programming, you all have that, of course. Demonstrated support from the municipality for the Main Street program. And it says this can include funding from the municipality. Since y'all have the tax revenue, I'm sure that the municipality probably doesn't provide much, if any funding, but there's philosophical support, and then manpower support for events and doing things like providing police officers and providing setup help and things like that. So I feel like that there's a good partnership between the city and the DDD here in Hammond. Reinvestment statistics reported as required by us, and be a member in good standing, membership of Main Street America. So you'll see the baseline requirements are pretty much the same as our letter of agreement requirements for the state. But then the 6 standards that in addition to the baseline requirements, the 6 standards that each organization has to meet in order to be an accredited Main Street program. Broad-based community commitment to revitalization. Y'all are committed. You've been doing it for 40 years. I have the poster on my wall in the office that says it takes the community in 40 years. One of the architecture firms developed that for here in Hammond, and so it's the whole timeline of what's happened in the downtown revitalization.
Yeah.
Inclusive leadership and organizational capacity, diversified funding and sustainable program operations. Main Street America talks a lot about diversified funding. They encourage communities not to just get their funding from one source. Again, for DDDs, that's a little bit hard to get out of that one source because it is guaranteed and you have it coming in, you know it's coming in. But for those communities that don't operate as a DDD, they like to see different funding from donations, from fundraising efforts, from the city, from all the different areas that might be in support of a Main Street program. Standard 4, strategy-driven programming. Standard 5, preservation-based economic development. Again, it's important to even at the national level. Certainly, it's important because the program was started by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Main Street used to be a program of the National Trust. Now it's a subsidiary organization of the National Trust. So the National Trust headquarters is in Washington, D.C. Main Street America's headquarters are in Chicago. So we're a subsidiary of the National Trust still. And then the 6th standard is demonstrated impact and results. Again, reporting the statistics to us and then also to your community. You want to brag about the work you've done. You want the community to know the things that you have accomplished and the good things that you're bringing about your community, and you want to take credit for those things. So that's part of it too, as part of the annual report or whatever things you all might be required to do.
How many Louisiana Main Street programs are also Main Street America accredited?
I'd say about 2/3 of them are of our programs are accredited, and then it varies. Just a community can be accredited one year and then the next year fall off for whatever reason. You're still a member of Main Street America. You're still designated as a Louisiana Main Street community, but you are an affiliate level with Main Street America if you don't meet the 6 standard.
And we're accredited.
You're accredited.
Yes.
Hammond has been accredited for a long time.
Yes.
Year to year.
But a lot of communities work at, like, the Lanyap community, it starts there, and then they try to work to where we are, and we've been for a long time, so.
And as we've already talked about, Hammond is a Great American Main Street Award winner. That's like the highest award in the Main Street world, so you all have done a great job on that. Only 3 communities a year are selected at the national level for that. They narrow it down to 10 semifinalists and then select 3 each year, and we were so excited.
And there's 600 plus, how many are there?
There's 2,000.
Oh, 2,000?
Oh, wow.
2,000 Main Street community organizations across the country. You are in a very elite group. Ruston just a couple years ago reached the top 10, but they didn't get GAMSA, and they applied again after that and didn't make the top 10. So we don't know what happens from year to year, but that is a significant achievement. And I hope y'all will still talk about that, promote it, and
Yes.
always.
We're trying to tie it into our 40th anniversary,
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Okay, so what are the benefits of all this? No cost. You asked about that earlier. There's no cost to being a part of our network. Everything we do is state funded, so that is beneficial to the local programs. We do have some grant programs that are available to building owners. Right now, we have 2 different grants. We've had one for years and years and years. A building owner can apply for a grant from $2,500 to $10,000, and then they're required to match that dollar for dollar. So that's for smaller projects, obviously, to help spruce up, to do some things to make their buildings look better. They're pretty competitive grants because we don't have a lot of funding, and it's statewide. So every community is not guaranteed to get one every year, but we'll start that up pretty soon. We've got to get that going. We usually get it going during the spring, and they're awarded early summer is our goal, and then they're ranked by that time and then awarded throughout the summer. We also have a bigger grant opportunity right now that is federal money that we apply for and receive. It's $55,000, so it's a more significant amount. It's the intent of that is for buildings that are currently unoccupied or underoccupied, and the goal is to get those buildings back to a condition that they can be occupied again. So those projects that have that situation, they get higher score, but it's not a requirement. But anyway, that's a $55,000 grant. The building owner is required to invest an additional $10,000. So it's a pretty good return.
That's really good.
On investment for that. We will probably start the last round of that late spring, early summer, and then hopefully we can get more federal funding to keep that program going. But we're not always guaranteed to do that.
How many of those are awarded a year, you said?
Say that,
There's just one per year for that particular
No,
one?
we're
or-
able to do 6 or 7.
Oh, really?
every
Wow,
year.
okay.
Yeah, we've gotten 2 federal grants for that. One was $660,000, and the other one was $750,000. So
Oh, wow.
we've
That's
gotten some pretty good federal
Yeah.
money from that.
That's awesome.
We get that federal money, we put in some state money to match it, and then get a match from the local building owner as well. We provide scholarships to attend the national conference, to attend the Destination Downtown Conference, and to do other things. If there are conferences that we require attendance at, we help pay the cost of that. The scholarship doesn't pay for everything, but it will help offset a big portion of the cost. This year, the conference is in Birmingham. I've got some information about that coming up. We provide ongoing training, ongoing technical assistance, and then one of the best benefits of being a part of Main Street is the network. You learn from other communities. You have the opportunity. Michelle gets to meet the other Main Street directors from across the state and across the country and learn from them. And our network is very agreeable to help each other. There's competition between communities, of course, but we all want to help, and I think our Main Street communities realize that we have to work regionally and statewide to really bring about improvement. So that's a big benefit. The benefits in national network, the national accreditation, GAMSA award. They have a lot of documents on their website. One of the documents that I handed out to you was downloaded from their website, so they've got a lot of resources there on their website that are only available for members. You all have a membership number, and any of you as board members can log on and go into the members area using that membership number to get access to these resources. Main Street America is doing a lot of advocacy at the national level. This is the second year now they've had Main Street Day on Capitol Hill in Washington. And so they're trying to advocate for a lot of economic development type programs and other type of programs that will help benefit small town downtowns, and they're doing really good work on that. And then they have training opportunities. They have an educational, forget what they call it now, they're reworking all that, but an opportunity for local Main Street directors to become certified in the work that they do. So there's a whole series of training opportunities through the national level. All right, happy 40th anniversary to us and to Hammond. It's our birthday. Some of the things that we're working on for that, we are going to have Main Street Day at the state capitol on March 19th. You all are all welcome to come over to Baton Rouge and be a part of that day where we have recognition for all of our Main Street programs in both the House and the Senate. We get a resolution from the governor and lieutenant governor this year. We're also asking, because it's our 40th anniversary, we're also asking each Main Street community's city council to do a resolution designating March 19th as Main Street Day in that community. So we're really trying to get a lot of attention to this and bring this up across the state to get that recognition. On March 19th, that's kind of hard to read, but on March 19th, we'll start what we're calling 40 Days of Main Street. And so through social media, all the different things, we will highlight a different community every day. As I say, we have 36 Main Street communities and 4 lagniappe communities that are working toward Main Street. So that's a good 40 communities that we can highlight one a day. And then we also are going to start working and hope to have completed in this year a strategic plan for our state program. We started that in January of the year that COVID hit in March. So pretty quickly we quit that process and said, no, we can't. There's no point in doing the strategic plan at this point. None of it will be any good out of this pandemic. So we're now finally getting to the point where we can start that up. We'll do some special recognition for our first 4 Main Street communities, and you see them there: Donaldsonville, Franklin, Hammond, and Houma. I'm really proud of the fact that our first 4 Main Street communities are still in our network and still doing it. I don't know if any other states can say that. Certainly they've had communities that have been doing it for a long time, but I don't know if they can say that the first 4 communities are still part of the network. This is one of the things that we're going to talk about really leading up to Main Street Day, and we're really talking with our legislators about this year. So if you all can, I've given you one pager with this information, and if you have any contacts with your legislators and have an opportunity to mention this shows our funding level. You'll see we're funded at $325,000. The minimum funding recommended for Louisiana, based on the number of communities that we work with, is $875,000. So we're about $500,000 below where we need to be. Our most funding back before the general administration was, we had $1.3 million, and then we were cut down to $300,000. So we built back up to 500, but we're not nearly where we want to be and where we need to be. You'll see comparison to other states. Alabama's at $1.7 million. Mississippi's at $4.4 million budget for their Main Street program. If Mississippi can do that, we can certainly do it. Iowa has kind of always been the shining star. I think Mississippi's money this year has a lot of ARPA funds in it, so that they might be a little skewed for this year. But Iowa has quite over $3 million, And then the national average is over $3 million, so we're at 300,000.
And where did they come up with the sweet number? Like, where you said 800 and something thousand, really,
It's
where is that?
based on a baseline amount and then a certain amount per community.
Gotcha.
I'm sure we can hang Louisiana politics.
Oh, yeah, we can thank politics for sure for getting us where we are now, so.
But our program budget is larger than the state's budget because of our taxing authority. So I think that hones in a special importance to support the statewide efforts.
And
So,
So what do we do to change this? And how often is this voted? Once a year? It's changed?
And so we, for the past 2 years, have really made some strong efforts to try to change this. We've had good conversations with legislators. Last year, for some reason, something happened between when we were told we would get the money, and then at the end we didn't get it. So we don't know what that was all about.
And are we pushing just to get that baseline, 800,000 is the goal? Yeah.
That's our goal, and then once we get there, we'll come back
Try
in
and
a couple of years.
Push for a
and
little
ask
more, yeah.
So that is the goal. And you see the difference here between the blue and the gold. The blue is basic operational cost, and then the gold is investments in the communities through being able to bring in experts, consultants to do work in the communities and bring technical support to the communities. Our blue part is fine. We have everything we need to pay the salaries of the staff. We have all the equipment we need. We have office space and all that. So any increase we get is going to be in the gold.
So we're running very lean then, obviously. If our blue is so small even compared to everybody else. So we're running a lean
They
base
have bigger
operation.
staffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it is much smaller, but when you look at the blue compared to the gold, I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
out of,
Right.
like crazy out of line.
And let me ask you this, just curious. I mean, 4.5 million Mississippi. I mean, when you go to these communities, are you seeing like, wow, you can tell they have 4.5 million?
This
you know?
is relatively new for Mississippi.
Okay.
they're investing.
But he was saying also it may be skewed
Mhm.
slightly for this year,
ARPA,
right?
They
Yeah.
got some ARPA money dedicated to Main Street.
Mhm.
But Mississippi hasn't always been this well funded, but they've always been better than us, better funded than us. And even when the ARPA money comes off, they probably are going to be in line with Alabama, or somewhere between Alabama and Iowa. So
Wow. Okay.
these other states are investing.
Yeah, we can too. We're hopeful that.
Well, and one of the things we're also doing as far as our Main Street Days, we're asking for letters of support from business owners, the boards of directors, our local organizations. We're wanting to put them in a big binder, multiple binders, and hand them to the legislators and say, look, this is the level of support Main Street has across the state. And that's kind of hard for them to not pay attention to. So there's page after page after page of a supporter.
You'll get that tomorrow.
We have templates for that, so
Yes.
you don't have to recreate the wheel. Let's see. Oh, okay. So upcoming trainings, our spring training is April 4th and 5th in conjunction with the State Preservation Conference. Again, you all are welcome at that. It's in Lafayette. Main Street Now is the national conference. Will be held May 6th to 8th. That's in Birmingham, Alabama. People have a really good attendance from Louisiana there because it's drivable and easy to get to, and I've heard a lot of interest in that. This is our return on investment statistics that we always show to the legislators. Since 1984, there's been $1 billion invested in Main Street districts across the state. That's not the state investment. That's the local investment. The local building owners, the business owners, the local governments that have invested in their downtowns through the years. It's come up to $1 billion. Over 16,000 new jobs have been created in Main Street districts. 3,800 new businesses have opened up, and way more than 1.2 million volunteer hours, because we haven't always tracked that. But we know Main Street's very much a volunteer-driven program. And then finally, I always like to leave this. This is a quote by Margaret Mead, who's a cultural anthropologist back in the 60s and 70s, I think. She said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever does. City Hall can't do it, they can't do it alone for sure. They need the support of the local people and the volunteers from the communities, and that's what brings about change in the community. You have my card, that's my phone number there, or my phone number's on my card, and my email address. Visit our website, louisianamainstreet.org, and the National Main Street is mainstreet.org, and you'll find a lot of good resources at local stores.
And I'd also like to commend some of the additional stuff that they've done at the state with partnering with our state tourism office, and our Hammond has been featured on. Well, they've done a special feature. You want to talk about that? The feature for Main Street?
Yeah, the Office of Tourism did a really good benefit for our Main Street communities during November and December of last year. They purchased a lot of social media advertising focused on Main Street districts, certainly to encourage people to shop in the Main Street district during the holiday season. They got better returns on click rates and all the different things that they used to monitor and track all that. They got better returns on our ad campaign than they've gotten on a lot of different things that they do, that they focus on. So they were real pleased with the returns that they got. I hope that will encourage them, because that will show them the interest level there. I hope that will encourage them to do more. We do have good relationships with them. Keep Louisiana Beautiful. They're starting to do some things that are Main Street specific. We're really getting to the point that we're having good relationships with different state agencies, and they're starting to recognize our Main Street districts and the work that you all do, and want to provide opportunities for those.
And I did bring up on explorelouisiana.com, you'll see they did this blog post, 10 must-see Louisiana Main Streets, and Hammond is number 1. And then also on the top bar, when you look at the cities and regions, Hammond is featured, which I do want to update. This link versus the other link is different, I think, but I do want to get them to update this a little bit.
Send me the information.
Okay.
I'll forward it.
But yeah, so we are featured on here. This is something that I've been wanting to look at for a while, but really great resource to, as we talk about year-round promotion of downtown, this is key.
And the top 10 must-sees were so popular that they came to us and said, we want to do this for all the Main Street communities. So now there's a whole Main Street page on the Office of Tourism website, and they get millions of hits every year on that.
Trying to figure out.
I use this site to plan my own events for my
Yeah.
business every year,
Yeah.
so we were just talking about this site, so a lot of people go to it.
Yeah, good. Well, thank y'all. Any questions you have for me? Keep up the good
Thank you.
work.
Appreciate it.
We love our partnership with y'all, and I appreciate your work.
Yes, really appreciate it. Oh, I think I may have found it. Yes. Good stuff. Okay.
All right. So next on the agenda, we're going to approve meeting minutes from December 20th, 2023. Anybody wanna make a motion? Oh, you want?
Sorry, I was writing
Yeah.
some.
So how do we do that? Because the people,
Only Kaylee wasn't here
yeah, no, Cass, why does it say Cassie?
because this was in December.
Right, so we don't have her.
I think we just need to make a motion to approve them, and if it's a
I will
problem, I'll figure
make
it
a
out.
motion to approve the meeting minutes from Wednesday, December 20th at 5:30.
Oh wait, did we? Okay,
We have enough?
we're doing December.
Oh, wait, sorry, did I skip?
No, I'm just checking.
Yeah,
for you.
December.
Oh, yeah,
20th.
December 20th.
Second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius.
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton, Evan Singer.
All right, next up, approval of meeting minutes from January 20th, January 24th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
All right, next up is the approval of the January 2024 financial report. Evan's not here. Is there anything that you would like to point out to us, talk to us about on this report?
Yes, so, since we've, the way the tax year runs, we don't really get checks from, the, sheriff's office until like January. So you'll see our first, revenue, check apply to our account. That was around 121,000, and we usually get like 3 big checks. So that's our first check that we've received for this fiscal year. They run on a calendar year, so it always is a little bit weird with our budget, but our tax revenue is starting to come in, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the January 2024 financial report.
Second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Chance Kenshin,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton, Evan Singer.
All right, next up, position reports, executive committee report.
So this agenda, like I said, is a little different. Remember last time we talked, the agenda would look a little bit different. So, went ahead and put the reports first because I feel like that gives some context to our new business items that we will be discussing. I did not necessarily make sure that John and Chelsea knew that this was on the agenda to deliver one. We did have a meeting, and we did discuss the status of hiring of an employee, which has dovetailed into a lot of other conversations. So there's not really a written report to deliver for that one, but moving forward, I was hoping Evan would be here, and I thought he would be. I did text him, but the executive committee, I would like to get a solid meeting time scheduled for that. So with y'all's schedule, is there something that we can look at?
Okay.
Ideally, it would be the first week of the month,
Okay.
or
I'm good. Just,
okay.
What about on Tuesday, the 5th?
Like as a regular Tuesday?
like the first
Oh, we want to, okay, so we want to
Tuesday.
do, this is okay.
Yeah, recurring. We can touch base offline, but I think we've been trying to do that for quite
I
some
know.
time, and it just hasn't happened because I've been forgetting about it.
All right.
So maybe let's make a commitment to talk about it after this meeting, so we're not.
Yeah, and we really have Evan here too. I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So basically with the position reports, the ones that you see itemized here are the ones that I felt kind of make the most sense to deliver a report to the board. The only board seats that are kind of there are mayor and chamber nominated, but if you all see other areas, other position seats for board members, I didn't think the east side seat would have a report necessarily. But since the chamber and the mayor are working, those seats are working with other organizations, they would have more pertinent information to report back. And then also with the staff and director report being next, kind of also provide some context. So it can change, but I figured we would just try to do this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so are you?
I do have a staff report.
Yeah.
And usually we do this at the end, and maybe it's a bit boring, but I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I do want to give some project updates. Our Railroad Park History Exhibit project, which actually we did get a CLG grant for to pay for a portion of it, basically has been 6 months delayed at this point. They came to install the panels about 2 weeks ago. They fabricated the frames incorrectly and had to go back to the drawing board and do a different detail of the installation method from our specifications. Yes, so we have a new target date for them to be installed next Wednesday, I believe, if that is still in February. Yes, on the 28th. So we have expressed our dissatisfaction, but they are going to be installed. And as we are planning around a dedication ceremony, we did have benches installed, additional bricks installed, and so we will do a larger dedication ceremony and unveiling as it relates to all those items and improvements. Well, so I think the challenge of that is that I'm not going to be here. But I do think that there's a big tie into our 40th anniversary, and also as I am meeting, I've already met with three of our council members. I'm meeting with Councilman DiVittorio tomorrow and Councilman Wells hopefully next week. But to let them know about celebrating our 40th anniversary and the adoption of a resolution to designate March 19th that is on the agenda for next Tuesday, February 27th. So all those things are kind of tying together, I think, with the history exhibit and the additional park installations, really bringing people together around our 40th anniversary milestone and being proud of where we are, but also there's a lot of content, I think, in the history exhibit panels, which gives us a lot of room to improve and grow together more as a community, as it relates to inclusion and making sure that we're growing with everyone in our community, not just people who've been historically included. So lots of exciting things to come with that. Been having a really great conversations with our council members and with the mayor too, and Todd will get to that in a moment. But just a little bit update about those, some of that outreach and networking. Ray did mention some stuff with Keep Louisiana Beautiful. When we look at a lot of the gripes that we have about the maintenance of downtown, a really good place for us to look at reviving is actually the Keep Hammond Beautiful Committee. And they're a little bit stagnant, honestly, in their leadership. They had a meeting yesterday I attended, and they are open to us helping them revive that group. And so I think there's going to be some exciting stuff around that. There has been some changes with city staff and beautification, and so with trash and maintaining our sidewalks and lighting, all these things that we talk about all the time, I think there's a lot of momentum there for us to help them revive that committee, as we have brought back a lot of our committees too. Other professional development, I actually attended the state Arts Council meeting today. They were meeting in Ponchatoula at Twin Steeples, which was enlightening, to say the least. I do plan on having, working a little bit more closely with Melissa and the Art Center about some of the public art funding, and that kind of, we started working together through Hot August, but I feel like there's more opportunity there. And then tomorrow I'll be in a meet for Office of Tourism Strategic Planning listening session. I was invited to that with our folks at Tangi Tourism. So there's lots of good statewide like strategic planning, it seems, throughout a lot of the different departments. And I'm trying to make sure that we are, in those conversations as much as we can be as it relates to all of our work. I will, just to bring your attention here, you do have we have a lot of new business development happening. You'll see some new businesses that have opened, ones that are projected to open in March, other properties that are under construction. I did go ahead and put some property availability as it relates to, if you all know somebody. We do have some property available, and most importantly, 119 South Cypress. Main Street Dance has moved out, and they have their own facility now, so sad to see them go, but that space is available. You see a list of upcoming events through March. Like I said, we have aggregated so many different calendars. Let your business friends know in particular about LHSAA Girls Basketball Championship. If you're a restaurant, they bring so many families in. The Tangipahoa Chamber and Tangipahoa Tourism actually work to host that group. So I guess that is in a couple of days, starts on the 26th. And so that's a really great group that's here. There's also the LA Assessors Conference that's coming the first week of March. So lots of sort of groups that are coming in too. So I want to let everyone know about that. And all the other great stuff that people are planning in downtown. Also, if you are interested in having a booth at the Columbia Theater as a part of the Grease production that they're doing. They are trying to make the reception, like lobby area, kind of like the carnival scene at the end of Grease. And so if it's free. I mean, you have to pay for everything that you're doing for your setup, but they're looking for any businesses that want to set up and like kind of go all out with the setup. And they basically have like sold out shows for those nights. So if you're interested in that or know someone that would be interested, we can connect them to Angela at the Columbia. So those are just some high points.
Real quick, are we, when are we shooting for the city council to adopt our master plan?
So as a part of my conversation with council members, we have been talking about that. We don't have a target date set for that, but I do, there's,
Because I know you're meeting with the next two, so I'm
Right.
wondering, will we get on the next agenda? Probably not to the following.
yeah, and I think they'll start their budget conversations in March, and I feel like that will also be a good point for all of us as it relates to our budget planning, the city's budget planning, and our master plan and identification of fundable projects. That'll all kind of come in to play for March. But we've kind of started the relationship developing with our 40th
So
anniversary.
you thinking adopt in April, or what would be the goal, or, I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't thought about that as like a timeline type thing,
Okay.
but
All right.
yeah, March or April. They meet every other Tuesday.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Anything else? Is it?
Not for my staff report.
All right. We have mayor nominated seat report. Todd?
Residential committee. Hello, can you hear me? Residential committee, is it what we're talking about next? I'm sorry, is that where we
No,
are?
just like bringing everyone up to speed on our meeting with the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we worked with Lacey and we met with the mayor. We didn't really have an agenda, which we learned a very valuable lesson in that with the mayor, because he's very passionate about what he believes. But next time we meet with him, we'll definitely bring an agenda and discuss some very specific downtown things, because we got a little caught in the weeds. But I think the intention was just to kind of introduce ourselves and who we are and what we want to do and what we want to achieve. And we brought the information that we learned from our residential committee, some interesting feedback from those guys too. Some more interesting than others, but I can't divulge all that information yet. But what we'll do next time is when we meet with the mayor, we plan on meeting with him once a month, and we'll do once every other month, we'll meet with our residents. So we'll bring that information to him. Our big focus is going to be on downtown, because that's what we do is downtown district, anything within that district. There are a couple of members on the committee who don't actually live in that district, but support the district. So we want to make sure that they're represented as well, too. Did you want to add anything else about the mayor's meeting?
I actually did talk with him for 2 hours. And even though there was an agenda, it was still a very valuable discussion.
Very.
So yes, I think things are moving in a really good direction with us establishing better connection with the city administration. So all good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Good.
And then we can dive into more of the residential stuff once we get to committee reports.
And the next time, we'll actually have notes to bring and discuss with y'all. We just didn't have an agenda, but it was a great meeting, by the way, really great meeting.
All right. Next, chamber. Chance?
The chamber, just real quick, we had the installation ceremony this past Thursday, which most of you were in attendance for. And then there is the luncheon this Monday at Oak Knoll, registration 11:15. It's going to feature the CEO of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Will Green will be there. And then also the LHSAA Girls Tournament, which she had already mentioned. But if you haven't had an opportunity, there are still plenty of space available for the luncheon on Monday at Oak Knoll Country Club.
Okay. All right. Committee reports. Advertising, marketing. Kaylee?
Okay, so we had is this one?
Make sure the light's green. Also, before you begin, Kaylee, I basically put the agendas in here for all of our committee meetings, so it's not like notes, but each board member who's delivering a report would like to have a write-up that is included in the packet, we can work on that, but for right now, I just put the agenda to give like a guidance for everybody.
Okay, so we had an extremely productive advertising and marketing committee meeting. I feel like the group that we have is very diverse in their skill set in marketing and advertising in the community. Some are employed in bigger companies that are very active in our community, and then some have other skill sets that are more unique, but everyone had a little bit of a different skill set and something to bring to the table, and a lot of great information. So, gosh, let's see.
I think we can maybe focus on the biggest takeaway.
Okay, so the biggest takeaway was it was a universal agreed, I guess, consensus that billboard advertising and our funds that are spent there are potentially not the best use of our funds. And we really got in very detailed discussion about what a better use of funds would look like for advertising and marketing. And we could not get like anything definitive within our first meeting, but our next meeting is 2 weeks from now on March 6th, and I really think that we're going to make some significant progress there. Basically, what we discussed was that, well, one, just since inception of the DDD and since some of these marketing platforms have been, discussed and put in place, things have changed, and especially with social marketing and all of that. And so we just really looked at our community and where our money would be best spent and where we would be connecting with the right people in the most effective way. And the consensus on a general level was to go to more grassroots, like emotion-based marketing. So
Kind of leveraging our unpaid. We have a really great presence on our social media. We have a captive audience, and our website traffic is really great. So having more content creation and that being a focus and
Yes.
seeing how that aids in reaching people. Because when we were looking at our Lamar contract, I mean, it was $900 a month. We were budgeting, basically our billboards were a third of our advertising budget.
yeah,
So-
and some of the people who really work in the nitty gritty of advertising and social marketing were like, why is y'all's budget for social marketing so low and your billboard so high? We need to look at that. So they brought a lot of perspectives on that. Overall, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that we really want to focus on a storytelling component for downtown Hammond. So focus on advertising and marketing that actually personifies the town and personifies the stories and the people and the places that make downtown Hammond the charming place that it is. Actually, on a side note, which we'll also go into further, but I've been working with Southeastern communication classes, and one of the classes over the next 2 weeks is working on a particular project, and I'll just share kind of the quick one-liner of what the goal of that project is and how it will relate to the DDD. But the end goal of this project with the Southeastern Communications is to provide a starting point for unique storytelling content about downtown Hammond for the DDD to use on marketing platforms by Southeastern students in collaboration with local entities such as the Historic Commission and community members. So for this project, students are assigned a particular person, place, or attraction in downtown that has historical or cultural significance, and they are actually interviewing community members and getting feedback on a personal level about how that relates. And then we are going to take that information and either use it as a guidepost or push that out into DDD marketing, how it's fit. But it's a great starting point for where we think things should be headed with marketing.
Yeah, and I wish I would have had the printout, but all the stuff that I looked at it is exactly where we need to go in terms of content creation, because there's so many great things that are already here. We don't need to rework the wheel. We just have to build out some of these items so that we can push them out further. So I feel like that is kind of the focus now of just letting people know of all the great things that are here and our history and, you know, like the list of places to eat, places to stay, things to do, like all these things that we see from like tourism bureaus, really, that type of content. Like when you look at Explore Louisiana, like this type of blog post that says like we said, 10 must-see Louisiana main streets. It's like we haven't had the capacity to develop that kind of content. So, and the fact that I think it's a term class, Kaylee.
Yes, so this project will actually be finished in 2 weeks. So we will have the final projects in 2 weeks, and I'll send out the dates to anyone who wants to come and observe the final presentations, but the students will be doing presentations on March 4th and 6th of their projects. But they were assigned either notable people and places in downtown to tell the stories, whether it be historic houses, historic buildings, and if it's an historic building and there's a current business in that building, they are assigned to not only research the building but the business story as well, and basically merge that all together into a storyline of their choosing. And
I'm
then,
just gonna show them.
yeah, just show them the document.
Yeah, it can. We won't go through it, but like y'all can just read it if you want. But this is
And this is the second portion of it, which is some of them are focusing on specific things to do in downtown as content creation. One student in particular, I was just there before I came here, and she is doing happy hour, the best happy hours in downtown, and she is going to highlight in a short form video different locations, and she's going to go in the locations and showcase the happy hours and that type of thing. So, and for the different categories, it'll be that type of content.
and this is kind of some of the history stuff she was talking about.
So we're excited because it's really in alignment with our goals for being in partnership with the university and the historic district, and multiple people coming together for the same goal. And just one other side note from our meeting that I thought was pretty valuable, and one of the committee members brought up the idea of looking at advertising and marketing towards like RV and that type of demographic of people who are traveling in that way. And there were a lot of unique perspectives like that aren't your traditional marketing, that I think we can explore where our money is spent and
What percentage, the 1/3 of the budget being on billboards is kind of shocking. So what was the percentage it was on social media? Or the other?
So it was a tenth of the billboard.
I mean, because we basically will pay to boost certain posts and boost events.
But there's not a lot of targeted ads and things like that.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of targeted ads, but also it's we haven't done like content creation.
Yeah,
Like, we're
well-
just putting out.
Yeah.
I think
Factual based.
Yes, yeah.
And I think Michelle and I both just were able to see the value of the committees, because, I mean, the expertise of the people on the marketing and advertising committee they are truly like talented people in multiple areas, and they were educating us on things that were very beneficial, but we just don't have the manpower within our DDD staff to do that alone, so.
And I think, so we'll talk about actually under new business, discussion of our budget, and maybe we can maybe save a little bit of this for that point. But I do think we can revisit billboards, static ones, as we've discussed, but we can maybe do that a little bit later in the agenda. It's hard to figure out how to make these things flow, but that's kind of the summary of what we kind of talked about.
All right. If we're going on that next one, design committee, Mary's not here, so.
Yes, I will deliver it for her. We had an architectural review of 1601 Southwest Railroad Avenue, which is a very weird tract of land near Burns Wealth Advisory. It is going to be a Cox Communications fiber unit, basically. It is an unmanned station. It's a concrete block, basically. So we did have to require them to do like certain landscape buffering, and because they did not fit certain like transparency requirements of planning and zoning. So we worked a lot with this project has actually, I think I've been emailing them since like June of last year. So that development, if you see that little patch of land near Burns Wealth Advisory being renovated, that's why. That's what's going there. Hopefully, it will be an overall net benefit aesthetically because they're going to be doing a lot of it, landscaping enhancements and a fence to basically cover the construction that they're putting there. We also did an architectural review of 306 Edwin Neal Way, which is the gym connected to the Neal Corp area. So right now Montessori Me Too is a tenant in the front portion. They have sort of like the east side of the building is reserved for Aveda classrooms. The gymnasium itself, which is on Edwin Neal, has like a sand floor. So they are renovating that to be an event space, and Colleen Smith Architects is working with them on that. That project's actually been a long time coming as well. So with us doing architectural review means that they're actually hopefully trying to do it. It may be slow, but they are starting on it this year. And then we also reviewed the application for sidewalk reimbursement for 223 East Thomas. This is location, previous location of Richardson's Fashion on the corner of Cherry and Thomas. And we will review that officially under new business as it relates to budgetary considerations to as part of their reimbursement. So just basically notification of that. But we did review that, and other than Jeffrey's usual gripes about trees that need to be worked on, which will work perfectly with Keep Hammond Beautiful Group and all the important work that we're doing with the city, lots of good things moving in a good direction with the design committee.
Next, we have Events Committee, Chelsea.
Yes, so we met, was it Tuesday?
I think it was Monday. I don't even know what
It was
time
this
it
past
is.
Monday.
There have been so many meetings.
We did have a few people who weren't able to attend, but we had Michelle, Luke, Melissa, and then Ben Husser and April Kemp, who all attended. I think all in all, it was just, a good start to initiate the conversations of specifically, I guess, Hot August, because that is the first one fast approaching. With that in mind, we're getting a huge head start on where we've planned previously. Sorry, I think the biggest takeaways from Hot August specifically was that they felt that having the band in Kate Square Park was kind of disjointed from everything else going on in downtown. So we kind of talked about making that more of like a kid zone, and a couple of other ideas have kind of surfaced since that meeting, while still keeping the kid zone in the park. We also talked about potentially bringing the stage back to downtown within like the parking malls. I know that's a big conversation. I don't know how far we want to get into that.
Yeah, we can, basically, I think we may be playing with the layout a little bit this year, we did last year. We kind of play with the layout every year, but we had a good conversation around some considerations to take with the stage location and kind of thinking about like the schedule of the day.
Yeah.
So just kind of like revisiting some of like the areas of improvement that we, had
Which
from
we
last
knew.
year.
I'm sorry, I don't know why my voice is like going out. But we knew that there would be some growing pains just from changing it to Friday to Saturday, making it a longer event. But one thing we did mention with moving the stage to the parking malls was potentially utilizing transportation services. So parking at Southeastern or some other locations.
Holy Ghost or
Holy Ghost,
like a shuttle
Well,
type.
Can I ask you a real quick question? I know that we kind of had separate bands, different places and stuff.
Yeah.
We have a park with a stage that we built. Is it just not big enough for the main stage?
It is not
Is
big
that the problem?
Yeah,
Okay.
the
And we-
gazebo, you mean?
Like, as a new park at the
Railroad Park, yeah.
Railroad
Oh, Railroad Park,
Yeah, the railroad park where it's in the center of
I
town.
don't think it's big enough to hold the people that we would
But we do
anticipate.
use the stage, we
Yeah.
use it as a listing local stage.
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if that could be used as a main stage or if it's just too small. I mean, is that the question? Is that the deal?
Yeah, it's too small.
Okay.
Yeah. We also entertained the idea of having more than one big band on the main stage and starting the music earlier and going a little bit later. I think general consensus was they felt that ending the band, I think it ended at 8, was a little too early. Because as they were packing up, more people were coming, because the wine walk ended at 7, right? So people were kind of lingering in downtown and then would work their way to the stage. So it just,
Didn't
didn't,
give them enough time.
yeah.
Yeah.
We also talked about making the wine stroll a little bit later in the evening and extending that further. What am I missing?
I think where we'll move forward with Hot August conversations is probably our next meeting. We'll like look at a schedule
Yeah.
and like kind of look at the map again and kind of be able to report back like some concrete ideas.
We did still fall in line with keeping the route on the route we did last year rather than moving it to Thomas, just because, all in all, people are still going to come to that main drag.
Yeah.
So not much feedback there. I think another big takeaway was actually trick or treat. So we'll bring that up. Michelle Gallo, who is big with Crime Stoppers, mentioned the idea of potentially partnering together. So they do a big event every year. I think they changed location last year to Hammond West Side. Yeah. They felt that they had a little bit of growing pains there. She mentioned like carpool happening at the same time as setup. So ideally, it would be a better fit for them to move to the downtown area, which would also alleviate the work on our merchants. So I think that was a
So
promising
basically, I mean, it
conversation.
seemed that she was going to talk to her folks for it. We would still like help them promote the event, but they would like coordinate with the merchants, do a map, like do the whole
So
thing.
it'd be a
that-
Crime Stopper event instead.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
But in downtown.
But,
but in downtown.
Yeah.
That,
That's
I
awesome.
think that solves all the problems.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like, there's some work we need to do as far as, the route that we took and the check-in and everything. But we also still, kind of mentioned that we feel it is important that the Discovery Center is still involved. So that's on her radar, too.
That's good.
You know,
Everything?
yeah.
Okay. Next we have my Farmers Market Committee update. There's not much to update because we haven't met yet, although we are, in new business, going to be, announcing our new committee members, so, voting on that. And then, Merchant Committee, Chance?
We had some challenges getting together, but our first merchant committees meeting will be next Thursday at 9 a.m.
Okay. And then Residential Committee, Todd?
Yeah, we had a really interesting session. So we did our first one at Fume. We brought in everybody, and we did a SWOT analysis, which I thought was a really good idea. 'Cause it's a 50,000-foot view of what our challenges and opportunities and threats are. And we had some great feedback. Some people took it a little too much to the personal side of things, and that's not what we're really interested in. We're looking at a 50,000-foot view. I think our next meeting will be a little more structured in that we'll actually chisel down to some things that we can affect. And I think my job in this process will be to be a liaison between the mayor and those residents. And I think trying to figure out how we can commingle funds to fix some of the things that bother people. That's my real intention, is to make sure that we just kind of chisel down the things that we know we can affect and possibly solicit some private investors to help us as well with some of the projects that we want to look at, because some of these things take some funds to accomplish. But I think we had a really good meeting for our first one, and we just need to learn how to redirect things to where we want them to go. And we decided we'd meet every 2 months rather than every month. I think that makes a lot more sense, because some of these projects that we would need to address don't happen in a week or a day. So we need a little bit more time to work those projects through. Did you want to add anything to what we talked about?
Yeah, I was just going to add that we did, and interestingly, the biggest strength of downtown that they felt as a person who lives here was its walkability. I mean, that the quality of life that provides to people who live here. At the same time, the biggest opportunity that we had was to improve access to walkability. So signage, wayfinding signage, sidewalks, or crosswalks and intersections, which coincide a lot with some of the work that the design committee has already identified. So I think, as Todd said, as we do talk to the administration more, and as we're budgeting for our next fiscal year, I think that all of this information is going to help us inform some projects that we can put some funding towards, some that may be small, like, signage, metal signage, identifying an area and then kind of getting that going, all the way up to, like, the Oak and Thomas intersection that we're trying to improve. That's a state highway. There's different scaled projects that we can kind of look at, but it was really great to have them there. And we did identify that a big discussion point with the residential committee in the past. Reason why it hadn't worked out super well was because we had arguments about east side versus west side representation there. We did have discussion about representation. We did expand the committee to 9 seats, and so we are going to be appointing 1 in new business. And then the 2 other seats, I'm working with Councilman Wells and Andrews for them to give us an appointee for those additional seats, as they do cover portions of our district that have residents as a part of them. So that's also a great tool for us to build some relationships. So very good.
All right, so it looks like we're done committee reports. Any comment from the public before we go on to old business? Old business discussion to advertise for full-time DD employee.
Okay. So, basically, I think where this is at is that we're not ready to advertise. Because we have, basically, with, losing an employee, it kind of always presents an opportunity for us to, like, restructure our budget and kind of think about all the work that we have ahead of us and how to, like, best optimize how we are structuring things. When the executive committee met, we did talk about what, like, a sweet spot would be in terms of hiring new staff and contracting out certain things. And I think with the discussions that we've had with the executive committee, keeping in mind some of our advertising and marketing, where I think we are, this is what I'm going to express our needs as, is really restructuring the administrative assistant position to be an assistant director, increasing the salary to $45,000, which is $10,000 increase from the administrative assistant position. But with that increase, we'd be looking for more specialized skills, particularly in event planning. And they would also be a big help to a lot of the administrative work that takes time out of my day from really accomplishing some of our bigger goals and objectives. I have started actually putting together a whole document on administrative assistant duties, which was actually something that we talked about in my review last year with the executive committee, and kind of itemizing those things that really I need help with, that we need help with every single day. So with that in mind, knowing that content creation is kind of the biggest area of need. Granted, we have this really great work that's going to come out of these students at Southeastern, but to have that be sustained, I think over time, exploring a contract monthly with someone that can only do that I would work with, and the committee would work with, however that kind of works, to lead that content creation, create it, post it, share it, kind of do some of our social media management with that, I think is kind of the biggest opportunity for us to get all of these exciting things off of the ground. So basically what that request looks like is an additional $10,000 of salary. It would probably be another couple of thousand because the benefits are commensurate with the salary. But since we are not renewing, I'm assuming, since about estimate start for a contract position for content creation would be around $900, which is what our Lamar contract was. So we're looking at around $10,000 of spending, but at the same time, we haven't paid, an administrative assistant in a couple of a couple of pay periods. I think there's some flexibility in our budget that we haven't used yet. Like I just put our landscaping and lighting budget; those are $5,000 each. Doesn't mean that we couldn't, look at other line items in our budget, but I do think that this direction is what is most needed. So I want to throw that out there and see what you think.
I looked at the budget earlier today. I'm just pulling it up right now, but I noticed earlier when I looked at it that the amount of money that hasn't been spent due to staffing is pretty significant. So
Yes.
it would kind of be a null.
It would kind of, yeah, basically it's like we don't really need additional $10,000 to hire someone because when our fiscal year started in July, we didn't hire a market manager until August. Katie's position has been unfilled. So, I mean, there's some flexibility within that line in our regular salaries and wages line item alone. But like I said, I think in order for me to be sustained, and also for us to do all this work that we want to do, I think I think that this is a good option for us to look at so that we can prioritize year-round marketing and advertising for downtown as well.
Yeah, and I think just from our discussions from before, just that I think it was a tall order to hire somebody that's going to be an event planner, a marketing person, an administrator, and want them to have all these different skill sets rather than being really good at their.
It's kind of a recipe for failure.
So being that we know that it just so happens that it's roughly the same amount for the billboards, and y'all discussing maybe eliminating the billboards. The only thing as far as, and we don't have to get deep in the weeds now, but I would like some remaining money of some in my brain for billboards as far as just at least a static billboard directional at our corridor of actually directing us to town. But I do agree that more of the focus needs to be where y'all talking about.
Yeah,
So
and-
I don't know if we can make that work, but.
Well, I think where we kind of left off some of our discussion in the marketing meeting was when the budget
Right.
renews, because, not to get there too much, but another big line item that was discussed is a quality video being made for downtown.
So I think kind of where my mind is, we're already halfway through a fiscal year. We've already budgeted certain amounts. So I'm thinking basically now through June 30th, what's the best way to adapt what we've already budgeted for what our needs are? And as we think about a static billboard and we do our budget conversations for fiscal year 2025, we wrap all of that into there. So we could basically have a static billboard paid for in July. It's still
Gotcha.
this year, but I just think over these next couple of months, our time is better spent on staffing and getting that where it needs to be, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say last time when I was looking at like, okay, if we start the billboard with a firm strategy in place in July, that would just put us in a better position.
Yeah. So, and also, I mean, just as a part of our full budget conversation, which we will talk a little bit more later under new business, I want to make sure that we just start those conversations earlier because they can always get, they're kind of complex and, I'm trying to navigate, I'm trying to navigate several different things. And historically, Evan he helped me last year, but I haven't even had a chance to visit with him. But to the extent it makes sense our budget dictates our priorities. So we want to make sure that it's working for us.
And just one small last takeaway, I think we kind of in our conversation was why should we spend this funds marketing on certain things if we don't have the staffing to provide the foundational structure of these things that we're marketing? So we should start with staffing and then revisit marketing after we fix the staffing situation.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yep. All right.
Well, so, do I have the authority to advertise for assistant director? Like to make a motion on that?
I will make
Yeah.
a motion to advertise for an assistant director.
And I would
Do I
add,
need
I would
to
add to that motion
say-
with a limit of 45,000
Yeah, with
salary,
a
right?
limit of 45,000 plus benefits.
I'll second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius.
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kusnick,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin.
Yes.
Kaylee Norton.
Yes.
Evan Singer.
I also suggest that when you do create a job posting, let us know so we can share it on our personal and business pages as well for you. So that'll give it a lot more exposure to the application.
I love
I'd
that.
love to do that for you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think that's my dog barking. Okay, perfect. Thank you all for that.
All right, new business. Appointment of DD committee seats, farmer's market. So you want to break these up? Or
Is this where we have to go through and say each person?
are we doing them individually or?
Yeah, so I guess just to give a little bit of context, our farmers market committee was one. Last meeting we did appointments for all of our other committees. The farmers market one was one that we wanted to take a little bit more time on to make sure that the composition of the committee was representative of the vendors and also included community seats. So the composition of the committee is as follows. It is a committee of 7. And it has 2 community seats, and then it has 4 seats that are filled by vendors. And we filled each of those seats by category per our guidelines. So we have a artisan seat, a farmer that exclusively looks at meat, fish, or dairy, a farmer that is focused on produce or flowers, and then a prepared food seat. So we, Savannah assisted with putting out all the communication to solicit nominations for all of those seats. And you do have the whole, I know it's really small, you do have the whole like breakdown of who, I didn't realize it printed that small, so I'm sorry about that, of who submitted. But what you have before you are our recommendations, and basically the analysis with these recommendations is Alex Anderson would be one of the community seats. Jennifer Limon would be one of the community seats. And then Andrea Anderson would be the artisan seat. Denise Austin would be the prepared food seat. Shannon Dinger would be the farmer/meat farmer seat. And then Margaret Feckety would be the farmer/ for produce or vegetables. We do have some of those appointees here. You do have their written statements. I know it's very small, but you do have some of those written statements here as well. And that's kind of the summary of that for you all.
All right, so the procedure would be to vote individually?
Yes. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
You know, I thought about that the other time. I was like, I wonder if you could have just said like a slate of, but every time we've done it, we've done names. So just do I'm prepared to,
Let's rock it,
Well,
team.
yeah, because it doesn't, okay. So.
would you like to do any public comment before we?
Yes, is there any public comment from anybody here that would like to speak that came for this? No? All right. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve, okay, so which ones are the community, just so I separate that? Right.
Alex Anderson and Jennifer Limon are community.
Okay, so, for community seats, I make a motion to approve Alex Anderson.
Second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kusnick,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
All right, I'm making a motion to approve the next community seat, Jennifer Limon.
Second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kusnick,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
All right, make a motion for the first vendor seat, Andrea Anderson.
Second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kusnick,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Make a motion to approve vendor seat Denise Austin.
Second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Make a motion to approve the next vendor seat, Shannon Dinger.
Yes. Second.
Last meeting, y'all, we were here for a hot, solid 30 minutes, I feel like, on this. Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
Make a motion to approve vendor seat, Margaret Feckety.
Second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
All right. Next up, events. There's-
Congratulations.
Congratulations and thank you for wanting to serve.
Events, one seat remaining. How are we doing on that? Is there,
We reached out to Jim. I have not heard back yet. It was just like a scheduling
okay.
situation.
Yeah, so I think, if y'all have any suggestions for someone, it's basically if we find someone, or I can also post and advertise it out. But we would, to get that committee like an odd number, it does need another seat. So it's not urgent, but
Okay, I was gonna say, how's that work as far as like do we need to have that seat filled before March 4th? No. Okay.
we have enough to meet, but to be an odd number, technically a seat. Because
Can we do some social media marketing asking for that, or is that too broad of an opening, or is it more, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, we can do. I mean, there's a lot of lingering items, but you mean like advertise, like
Yeah, like advertise that we
yes,
have
we can do
some
that.
openings
Yeah,
for
it's
that.
not hard to do
Yeah.
that. And if this kind of ties into residential, but if I don't get any responses from our council members, we'll also be advertised. We need to advertise.
now what about the email list that we have for downtown? Can we send that in
Yeah.
email as well? Okay.
Yeah, so we are, fingers crossed, actually going to get this digital newsletter sent out tomorrow. Will be very comprehensive, so.
Oh, Lord.
Any attention to your
in an
email.
informative way. It's like has all the events. It has so much. It has so much. But it's a digital. I talked about this last time, but basically my goal is to do it weekly. It probably is going to be every other week, but we have enough content to basically produce a digital newsletter every week, and we send that out through our newsletter. We would tag it basically as a blog post on our website, and then we would also do a social post as like a distribution mechanism, and it's just comprehensive of a lot of things that are happening in downtown. And would have like a feature story, so like we're doing a feature story on Bayou Booksellers transition. It's a fun thing.
Let me ask you
part
this, this
of-
might be a dumb question, but when you do like a social media deal, like can you link, like if you're interested in being part of our
Yeah.
newsletter, can you link it to where when they click on it, you automatically get their email and phone number and it goes into your CRM to where you can send them out?
Yeah, so MailChimp has that integration, and that's kind of whenever someone goes to our website, if they haven't gone to it before, like that pops up. I don't know if it'll pop up.
Because I mean, I think we should do a little campaign about, we have a newsletter now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've always had one, but yes,
Okay.
that's also part of communicating our communication,
Got
which
it.
is a whole other thing.
Okay.
Great feedback, John. I love that.
Yeah. All right, so next up.
Also, we do have one person to appoint for residential committee.
Yes, so residential committee, we are J.D. Klein.
Yeah.
Second.
Oh, so that was a
Yep.
motion.
Yeah, a motion to appoint J.D. Klein.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius.
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kesnick,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin.
Yes.
Kaylee Norton.
Yes.
Evan Singer.
All right. Discussion of advertising, branding, budget, and contracts. Oh, this is.
Right.
Wait a minute.
So in your packet, you have basically like a breakdown slide of, where is this? Of what I put together so that the advertising and marketing committee could look at what our current paid marketing looks like, all of our contracts, and then our organics / unpaid. And so basically, like I said, the consensus is to not have billboards. So I think I put this on here in particular just so that we could review this documentation in particular. And I had a feeling that the discussion of still wanting to keep billboards would come up. So If there's any other feedback, I guess, related to our current contracts that you have at this time, then we can discuss that. I think basically our marketing and advertising budget is $30,000 per year. We did increase that by around 22% this fiscal year. These contracts allow us to basically saturate our local area, but if we do want to layer, like how we layer locally, we would basically be looking at like another 30,000 for another target market area if we are considering billboards. So we can dovetail this discussion into our budgeting for next year, but I just wanted to make sure that you all had this information in front of you of what's paid versus what's not paid and kind of what our reach is.
Also, if there is any feedback, our next meeting for the Marketing and Advertising Committee is on March 6th. So, because we didn't get too much in the weeds of this yet, we really had a lot to talk about. So I can bring any feedback back to our committee meeting to then bring back here.
I do have a question. So give me the separation of this extra 1,000 for North Shore Media Group, the 3 radio advertisements where there's a radio.
Yeah, so our current contract with North Shore Media Group pays for 6 full-page ads in Tingy Lifestyles and radio interview every month. They do wind up pulling sound bites from interviews and doing additional runs of that content. But whenever we have events, like when we do recorded advertisements, like the one that you did with me, we have to pay extra for those. It's not included in our contract.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we do broadcast those to the Southeast Louisiana target area and the Southwest Mississippi target area.
So for that $1,000, the 3 radio advertisements, that means just like it goes 3 times, like what is that?
It basically,
day
there's
for-
like several different runs. Like our runs for Hot August advertisements was probably like at least 300 to 500. Like I'd have to look at the runs, but like it runs on those stations like hundreds of times.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure. Okay. Yeah, for me, as far as this discussion, I agree where I think that would be a great way to put the money. I would just like, as far as billboard, I would like, being that we are at like a main intersection of 55 and 12, if there's a spot for a static sign just to direct us to downtown as a minimum, I would like to see that if that's possible. And, you know, I don't know what y'all think about that.
I agree with you. I think that's the better option than being further out. Even though we did have a really good feedback from the event in Mississippi 2 weeks ago. I did give out, she gave me a box of brochures to hand out at my booth, but they had over 600 people at that event. And they've already been coming to downtown Hammond.
Oh, nice.
I know just what's been frequenting my restaurant, but I've been the beneficiary of them eating, but they've been down here doing business. Just from that one event, that one time. So they had this is the biggest turnout they ever had this year.
That's great.
So,
I think my only question I ever ask when you spend money on advertising is, how do I measure my return on that investment?
Okay, so I will say from our committee of marketing and advertising specialized individuals, their main response was that it's very difficult to measure the ROI on billboards.
well, you gotta get a catchy John Ignatius jingle.
Yeah.
I mean, like sorry,
No, you're good.
you can do things where you put like a call to action, like visit, DDD/Hot August, and then measure it based on like how many people go to that link. It's a vanity URL, but it
We'd have to basically, for billboards in particular, I think we'd have to think about how we want to measure it when we put it out. So that way we are building in a measurement mechanism because they're not going to do that.
But we do know that
Yeah.
social media does have the back end of how many clicks. and-
Well,
yeah,
and
and that's
so
just easier to.
just as like a
was also
bigger
the
takeaway, because it's,
It was also
I
just,
think this is important to note, it wasn't like anti-billboards, it just was like as we looked at the
Reduce
scope of what our current marketing is, it's really not diversified that much, and it's really not updated for 2024. And so overall, the majority, if not the whole committee, just acknowledge that as a whole, to take a more grassroots approach, and by that they meant a person being the person to
Create the content.
create the content. Content creation is where it needs to be. Money needs to be spent in content creation. And that requires an individual who is able to do content ideation.
Yeah. And also, too, I think as it relates to our budget conversations for 2025, I mean, looking at a static, so we can still look at the pricing and how it relates to our budget for something in Macomb, something at the intersection. Like, we can still run those budget scenarios, because I think as part of destination marketing, which was kind of something that they didn't necessarily have experience in, I do think that a destination marketing component, billboards are a part of that. So I just think for the next 4 months, it's not a priority, but we don't want to lose what that could be. We don't want to, yeah. So I think that resonates. Also, point of note, our website traffic is great. I actually thought our website was hacked 2 Fridays ago. It was down. It was this whole ordeal. But I finally was able to access the back end of the back end of the back end. And we have around 30,000 visits per month, which is really great. So even more reason, people already coming to our website, they're already using it as a resource. We want to make sure that our website is always updated and has all these great things that, they can just look at. So.
Okay, so my question is this a timely time to approve? Do we have to do an official approval for funds for you to, if you're going to contract out somebody, or you want to wait on that?
I think we're going to wait on that.
Okay.
At least next
We'll have to-
meeting.
The next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're going to wait on that.
all right.
A little more research on the approach, I think, but next week meeting we'll probably have a
think
little
in
more
April.
direction.
Okay. All right, so next up, where am I?
See.
Sidewalk reimbursement application notification and review for 223 East Thomas.
I'm realizing it did not print super well. Basically, Matthew Hunt has requested sidewalk reimbursement for 223 East Thomas. His total estimate, it's actually $90,000 as a part of his plans. So we match up to a third. We cover up to a third of the cost for sidewalk improvements. And you can see the site plan on the next page that details what it will look like. So the design committee reviewed this, and it fit with the design standards of our enhanced sidewalks in downtown, which includes brick pavers and shade trees. And it does not include tree grates, which, if you didn't know, tree grates are not the way to go anymore.
I did.
Yes, because they just wind up girdling the trees, and it's, especially because the city is not super great at maintaining the trees, it actually just kills the trees sooner. Really great plan here. Holly and Smith are the architects for this, so it's really great. Particularly, you'll notice it's a little bit more than, well, the last time we did one was for La Coretta, which is was a whole other situation. But it is a little bit more in terms of cost because it does include some traffic calming measures. It does include a bump out for the corner of Thomas and Cherry. So another great pedestrian-friendly improvement that is happening by one of our property owners, and he prioritized that, and he wanted to make sure that he was making sure that he was renovating the sidewalk to be with what the needs are, because he didn't have to necessarily include traffic calming, but he wanted to.
Where is this exact? This is
It's on the corner of Thomas and Cherry. I can pull it up on the Google Maps if you want.
Adjacent corner from your building.
It's across the street from the Columbia.
okay. That's what I thought.
Well, where's the-
Okay.
So he's already gotten DOT approval to do everything. If you drive by it, you can see that the building is under construction. So basically, this is the intersection that we're talking about. He's basically doing a bump out right here, which would make this section protected for pedestrians. So that's it's what's called a traffic calming measure, is kind of named. So we'll have a larger island. We'll probably move that planter right there, and it'll be a nice moment too. as you come into downtown. This whole corner will be a really great enhancement to traffic as it comes in from 190. And he's continuing those improvements along the frontage of East Thomas and all along the length of his property to where this alleyway is for parking behind like the Hammond Regional Arts Center. So all of this will be improved.
Nice.
So basically, we've already budgeted $30,000 for sidewalk improvements, and the way that we did this application process was so that we would get notification of the improvements before they actually start, so that they're not entering into this big scope of work with the assumption that they're going to get matching funds or funds to do it. The city has been, I notified the city, Lacey's been notified, they have already budgeted for it. This project will likely eat up our whole budget. So that's also another consideration for us to take for fiscal year 2025. If there's at least 2 other sidewalk improvement projects that I know that would likely be happening in the next year. But basically, this is basically reserving his place in line for whenever he submits all of his actual invoices to know what that exact third is. So this is not an approval necessarily that we are going to give him $30,000. This is a notification that we received his application and he is in line basically to request funds, the first in line to request funds.
Now, if he starts the project, when is he can accept the funds don't get accepted from the project?
So we do not distribute the funds until after the project is done.
Done.
Yeah.
But it can be under this year's budget if he gets it approved
Right.
and paid out next year. Okay, gotcha. All right, any comments on that from the public? Okay, next, approval of DDD event dates.
I just put this on here in the event that we wanted to, in particularly, I guess just me for clarification, our participation with Southeastern Homecoming that Tuesday is October 15th. And, just showing our commitment that we are going to be doing that this year. Also, Pink Friday is something I forgot about, but it is an initiative that specifically like women-owned businesses and boutiques do, and it was requested of us to participate a little bit more last year, but we didn't quite get the notification in time. And then Small Business Saturday is on Saturday, November 30th. So those are the ones that, in terms of just clarification of our scope of work, that we have not approved. Obviously, like Restaurant Week in September, I think that still needs to be workshopped a little bit more. Trick or Treat, I think we'll get some updates about that with our events committee. And then, since we don't have a firm date really on the installation of those history panels, I'm hoping we'll do it sometime in March, but we even may do it sometime in April. Although March is National Preservation Month, so it would also be a good tie-in. So anyway, I guess I'm just looking for the consensus of the board on Southeastern Homecoming, Pink Friday, and Small Business Saturday, and us participating in those.
I would say we should, the sooner the better, especially for the merchant type of events, because
We've already approved Hot August and Starry.
So that's a busy, you got Pink Friday, the 22nd, then the 23rd, you have Starry, then you have the 30th, small business.
Oh yeah, November and December are very, very busy for promotions.
Okay.
which is a great segue into why we need to hire a content creator.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do any of these detract from anything? It's like if you're constant, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, Starry's a big event, like.
Well, so here's
I
the
mean-
thing.
I mean,
Basically, Pink Friday is more or less like campaign based, but I do think that in building off of like nationwide momentum to support small business, it's basically like a smaller small business Saturday.
Okay.
So it is a work item. It may not necessarily be
An event.
but we do treat it as an event with our promotions, and all of our business, like some of our small businesses will do events, and so we like promote that for them. as the events committee and merchant committee kind of discuss, if they want to lead and take on something else with that and make it look like something else, then that's something
Okay.
for us to discuss.
Okay.
And then also Southeastern Homecoming, I mean, that is just a natural connection I think we want to maintain. They're also doing a lot of promotion this year for the centennial that will occur next year.
Okay, so you want an official vote that these dates are okay? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to approve the dates for Southeastern Homecoming, Pink Friday, Starry Saturday. Oh, do we have to do them separate?
Starry's already approved, I think.
Let's not, because it's already
Okay.
6:41.
Small Business Saturday.
Okay.
Second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Mary Gito, Chelsea Kessnig,
Yes.
Chance Kinchin,
Yes.
Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Evan Singer. And now I can put together a little graphic that says save the date for downtown events.
For these
All right,
days.
next up, discussion of budget fiscal year 2025.
Yes. Okay, some things, we're not going to talk too much about this unless you want to. I do want to bring to your attention that our, if you look under you do have a budget in your binder, it's the last page. Under transfers out, you will see, it's called transfer to LT debt service fund. LT is a limited tax certificate, but, that's our bond payment that we secured back in 2018 to partially fund the development of Railroad Park. This is the last payment that we have for that bond. So we were budgeting $54,000 per year for that bond payment, and we are finishing that this fiscal year. So as we look at fiscal year 2025, we basically will have an additional $54,000 freed up to allocate elsewhere, whether it be advertising, marketing, or other
We have all the
capital.
billboards we want.
I guess so, if that's what we want to do, but I don't know. Or if we want to look at other capital projects. So the second one that you see there is the transfer to capital projects. That $50,000 that we budgeted this year was to fund the welcome sign, which that is making great progress. The bid will likely be awarded in April. It's out to bid right now. And so I think it has a 90 or 120 day construction period. So it hopefully will be done over the summer. But so the consensus is that we have 54,000 being freed up as we look at 2025, fiscal year 25. And we also are in a great position too, to get additional financing for a bigger project if we want to. We have funding through 2034, so that gives us 10 years to amortize payments out, which if we think about this strategically, if we do want to look at larger economic development projects and what a lot of other downtown development district authorities do, and leveraging the benefit of really being a political subdivision, this is something that I think we want to consider. So, because basically, I mean, when we got the bond in 2018, we could only get a certain amount because we could only amortize for the period that we basically our millage covered. And at that point in time, it was through, it was through 2034. We did the election in 2021 just to give us additional election cycles in the event that the millage didn't pass. So long story short is we'll have more time to amortize a loan out for. And we've already gotten approval for that payment to be around $50,000 a year. So, you know, you multiply that by 10, additional $50,000 if we are looking at other economic development projects or whatever that might be. Just some food for thought. So that's just what I wanted to bring to your attention related to that.
All right.
And my hope is to actually present a draft in March.
Okay. Announcements.
I have none. Anyone else have any announcements?
Thank you for not announcing. I'm so tired.
This was a big agenda, but we're working. Look,
know.
it's all working.
All right.
And
so
what a happy meeting.
nobody's mad. That's good. All right. So public comment. Do we have any? Come on, you want to say something?
You think we're silly?
All right. All right, so meeting adjourned. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.